In today's video, we're going to be talking about 3 simple ways to implement cyclical living as a beginner or a busy woman. In case you're new here, my name's Barry. I'm a women's health coach and fertility awareness educator. I basically help you have better periods. Period. And today I wanted to take some time to really share with you 3 simple and strategic strategies that are going to allow you to live aligned with your cycle. But before we delve into this, let me give you a little backstory. In 2019, I was quite literally plagued by painful periods. I had experienced 14 years of really awful periods and had a terrible relationship with my body, from the heavy bleeding to the cramping to the bleeding through my pants, and that meant I bled through my panties, to just so much shame and embarrassment surrounding my cycle. One day I was interviewing a friend for my podcast and she said to me, "Periods aren't supposed to be painful." I didn't believe her, but it was in the back of my head. Thank you, Hannah. And then a week later, I interviewed somebody else for my podcast and she shared the same thing. She then made a recommendation that I read this specific book called Woman Code by Elisa Vitti. And from that day forward, I have believed that periods are normal and pain shouldn't be. And it's because of this book and of course the 2 women that I spoke to that really my beliefs and my relationship with my body have changed. However, I followed the step-by-step plan in this book from 2019 till 2022. And then it stopped serving me. And I realized that one of the main reasons it stopped serving me is because it was extremely complicated for the life that I was now living. So with that being said, that's where these 3 strategies are really coming from. They're emphasizing simplicity, efficiency, so that you can really get sustainability and sustainable results out of it. Now, the first thing I want to go ahead and say is, 1, thank you to Elisa Vitti for sharing this with us. She's a holistic health coach that has coined the term cycle syncing, and she has a very great methodology. It's just not a methodology I could really follow. Number 2, the strategies I have are very simple, but they are going to make the biggest difference for you. So the first strategy is to Roy G. Biv the way you eat throughout your menstrual cycle. Don't worry, I'll get into that more. Number 2 is, remember, 2 for me, 2 for you. Because there are 4 phases to the menstrual cycle, you want to remember that there's going to be 2 weeks where you really want to focus on yourself internally and your needs, and then 2 weeks of focus and energy for the external world. And last but certainly not least, it gets to be easy. I know you're probably thinking, girl, what? But let's just get into it. So my first strategy for you, okay, is to Roy G. Biv the way you eat in sync with your cycle. What I found is a lot of the nutrients that I would need in my menstrual phase, I could find in my red and orange foods. A lot of the foods I needed for my follicular and ovulatory foods, or ovulatory phases, I could find in these yellow and green foods. And the foods that I would really need, or the nutrients better yet, that I would really need in my luteal and late luteal phase, I would actually be able to find in these blue, indigo, and violet foods. Because of looking at it from a nutrient perspective, I was then opened up to so much more that I could do with the way that I was cooking and the recipes I would be preparing. Now, naturally, one of the things I always knew to do was getting protein, healthy fat, and fiber at all of the meals. And protein was never hard to do, healthy fat never hard, but when it came to produce, I felt so limited. So instead of just saying, okay, I have to follow this list, I decided to think about the different nutrients my body would need throughout each phase, and knowing those nutrients, I would just shop accordingly because it was a lot simpler. I mean, honestly, I didn't always have a list on me, so it was just kind of like, get what you need. Food's a tool. It's either going to work for you or against you, and how it works is entirely up to you. Those are some fundamental beliefs that I have, and so that's why my first strategy is to Roy G. Biv your produce if you want to eat aligned with your cycle. My second tip is 2 for me, two for you. Now you might be thinking, what in the world? But one of the things I noticed is that because the hormones ebb and flow throughout your menstrual cycle, and really your energy kind of mirrors the way that estrogen will rise and fall, it just made more sense for me to think about how my energy would be. And what I noticed for my specific cycle is that I would always pretty much have 2 weeks of really high energy, high focus, high intensity output, which does somewhat align with the phases of the cycle, and 2 weeks of more low energy, scaled back internal focus and internal priority. So with that being said, I just looked at my calendar and said, okay, how can I maximize this? So in my Google Calendar, literally I could show you right now, there is time specified for my period and time specified for my luteal phase. And there's about 2 weeks in between those phases where I'm feeling on top of it. So those 2 weeks are where I'm going to be focused on the external world and what they need, how I can serve, how I can show up and do all of those things. And then 2 weeks where it's going to be more reserved and scaled back. Now, one of the things that I like to share is I know that not everybody has like a regular cycle, and I know that every phase of the cycle really will vary in length. Like your menstrual phase might only be 5 days, your ovulatory phase is technically only 16 to 32 hours, right? I'm very aware of that. But what I noticed is that there was this tendency to have almost like a week of feeling good in each phase where you have this really great rhythm and routine that you can be in. And so I was like, 2 for me, 2 for you. Now, the 2 weeks that are going to be for everyone else, it's going to be your follicular phase and your ovulatory phase. And the 2 weeks that are going to be for yourself will actually be your menstrual phase and your luteal phase, okay? So when you think of it like that, you can actually be a lot more effective with your time. And the last strategy I have for you is it gets to be easy. So one of the main reasons that I stopped cycle syncing based off of the book Created or Woman Code or In the Flow, one of the main reasons I stopped utilizing these methodologies is because it just got too restrictive and too limiting. And then I realized that maybe the intention of these books were simply to show women another way, and a way that actually aligned with their bodies. Because I feel like for so long as women, we haven't really been empowered around our cycles. No one's really taken time to like really educate us. At the end of the day, I want you to live from a space of abundance and not like restriction. I want you to live from a space of freedom and living more and not stressing more. You know, I want you to live more and worry less, live more and stress less. Do less, God bless. And I think that these strategies have really helped me align my life with my menstrual cycle without feeling overconsumed and overwhelmed. Because at any point in time, if you are stressing out about what you're doing or the way you're going about doing it, that's actually causing a bit of a hormonal imbalance in the body with your cortisol. And that cortisol, if the feedback loop isn't turned off, can lead to so many other problems. We don't want that. So with that being said, I'm going to recap the strategies for you one last time, and that's first and foremost to eat aligned with your cycle. You're going to protein, healthy fat, and fiber, and then from there you are going to Roy G. Biv your produce. And the second strategy I have for you is 2 for me and 2 for you, okay? 2 weeks of focus on you and like kind of scaling back your energy, 2 weeks of focusing on everyone else and really serving and showing up more. And my last but certainly not least point is that it gets to be easy, okay? You can make this as simple or as complicated as you'd like. I think you're probably like me, where you value simplicity, efficiency, and sustainability. And so with that being said, I hope that this video has been supportive to you. If it has, leave me a comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. As always, love you, mean it.